Hello, guys. This is Pinky, the housewife, and I'm coming to you all about the tragic helicopter crash that happened yesterday. Okay, today is Friday, April the 11th, and this happened yesterday, which was Thursday. And I'm sorry to be bringing it to you a day later, but I've been trying to get well, heal, and haven't been feeling all that good with all this pain from my second time having a torn rotator cuff and a pulled muscle on the same arm at the same time. But I am bringing it to you tonight, and so what I'm going to do before we get started, let me just say welcome to the Pink House. I do want to say that first, okay? And if everybody can, I would appreciate it if you can go ahead and hit that like button for me. That would help me out in getting my second channel, Pink Global, to be monetized. Okay, I'm trying to. I didn't get it monetized by my birthday, which was just last week. So I'm trying to get it monetized before this month is up. April is over. Okay, and so if you can hit that like button for me, that way I can continue to bring you more great videos and content. Okay, and go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That will get me there. Okay. Thank you guys for doing all that for me. And don't forget, that's Pink Global. Although I will be showing this on Pink Global and on Pinkie the Housewife. All right. So let me go ahead and get to the matter at hand. Okay. We had a tragic accident, tragic helicopter crash unalives a whole family. That was a family of five, the mother, the father, and the three children, and the pilot as well in New York, Hudson River. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just bring you the videos, all right, instead of keeping you waiting. And my understanding, they was celebrating a birthday, and that was a tour helicopter. That takes you on tours. This information, the first video is going to be coming from the Sun, and that information will be down in my description box below my video. All right, here we go, guys. Let me just go ahead and try to enlarge it for you. And let me just say, this is 18 hours ago. Okay, so that was yesterday. Okay, let me go ahead and just try to enlarge it for you, and I hope it works out when it while it's enlarged full screen. That's a warning video, warning content. Did y'all see that? That's the plane that crashed. That was the plane.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
That is pieces of the
Oh my
plane. That's
goodness. Oh my
y'all saw
gosh.
that. Let me just go back to that little part right quick for you. Let you see that. Okay? Sensitive material, just in case. Plane. Not the plane, the helicopter. Now it broke in half, and you're going to see pieces falling. Those are the pieces falling from the sky.
Oh my God.
You see
Oh my
that?
gosh. Oh my goodness.
Horrible.
Oh my gosh.
Terrible, terrible, terrible.
This afternoon, we began receiving multiple calls for a helicopter that crashed in the water. These calls generated the response of many agencies, as Deputy Mayor Daughtry stated, including FDNY, NYPD, the Port Authority, and our Jersey partners, the police officers in Jersey as well, and the Coast Guard. 3 adults and 3 children were on board a Bell 206 helicopter that had left from the downtown Skyport just about 3 p.m. The pilot and a family visiting from Spain, what our preliminary information has at this time. Members of the FDNY and NYPD harbor units arrived at the scene, and divers from both agencies entered the water. At this time, all 6 victims have been removed from the water, and sadly, all 6 victims have been pronounced deceased. Again, we're praying for the families and our gratitude to the rescuers and the courage that was displayed in their dedication.
NYPD units from aviation, harbor, scuba, and patrol all responded, with our first units arriving at the site within minutes. Our NYPD divers entered the water along with rescue personnel from FDNY, Port Authority, and various New Jersey agencies. According to the manifest, aboard the helicopter were 6 people, 1 pilot, 2 adults, and 3 children. NYPD divers pulled 4 people from the crash site, and FDNY divers recovered an additional 2. Immediate life-saving measures were undertaken on the vessels at the scene, as well as the adjoining pier. 4 victims were pronounced dead on scene, and 2 more were removed to local area hospitals, where sadly both succumbed to their injuries. Here is what we know about the flight, and this is based on flight tracking software. A Bell 206 helicopter flying for the tour company New York Helicopters took off from the downtown Manhattan heliport at 2:59 p.m. The aircraft flew south before turning to fly north along the Manhattan shoreline up the Hudson River. At 3:08 p.m., the helicopter reached the George Washington Bridge and then turned again to fly south along the New Jersey shoreline. Shortly thereafter, the aircraft lost control and hit the water just a few feet off the coast of Pier A Park in Hoboken. The cause of the crash is currently under investigation.
Okay, guys, thank you for being patient. That is it on the first video. I do have a second, more updated. That was yesterday's video. So we're going to see what is going on as of today with the crash, more information, and see what other information we have. All right. Just give me 1 minute to get it ready for you. Let me just see how many hours is this one. I know this was information from today. So this is 7 hours ago. So this is information that came out earlier today on the crash. Uh, the helicopter that broke apart and fell into the Hudson River. So let me go ahead and get that one started for you. Now, I have not seen this video or the first one, but I'm trying to get it to you as quickly as possible. Let me just put my okay. Here is the second one. The second one is with NBC New York. So and they're bringing us the latest information. The NTSB chair provides first update on the Hudson helicopter crash. Okay, so here we go, guys. And that information also will be down in my description box as well. Oh, let me just do something, get rid of something for you. Okay, here we go.
Press conference. This crash occurred yesterday at about 3:15 p.m. So we're not even 24 hours later. Rightfully, the focus yesterday was on, first and foremost, victim recovery, and then wreckage recovery. Our investigators, the NTSB, we stay out of the way when victim recovery efforts are in process. That is first and foremost, most important. Our investigation can always wait. Once that was done, we had Luke Chiata, who is our chief of our Eastern region, who lives right here in New York, on scene as part of the wreckage recovery operations. And those two were the focus for yesterday. The rest of the team who arrived late last night, including me, and early this morning. So that means this is the first full day of our investigation. And as you can see, our investigators are out doing some of the work that I'm about to talk about in just a second. But as far as information sharing today, I am not going to share a lot of investigative information. We have a lot of information, but we do not speculate. We need to confirm information. That is a process that takes time. So I will say, you know, I understand that you have a lot of questions, and we will attempt to answer them over the coming days. A little bit about our team and our process. We have 17 people who are here on scene. That includes 10 investigators. They are supported by a minimum of 10 experts back in our headquarters in Washington, D.C. The on-scene specialists, they are experts, and they have the following specialties. Operations, they'll focus on the helicopter operator. They'll look at the owner of the helicopter itself, and they will look at pilot qualifications and other information. We have experts on helicopter airworthiness, on structures, and on systems. We also have our evidence management team here, as well as our transportation disaster assistance team, which is responsible for working with the family to get them the assistance they need throughout the course of the investigation, not just here on scene, but in the coming days, weeks, and months throughout the investigation to the issuance of our final report, and sometimes for months and years beyond. The wreckage exam began this morning. Our team, I was there, our team began pulling components and the engine off the wreckage and other components that they would like to more closely examine. Most of their focus was to turn it upright and move the helicopter or the wreckage inside so that they can begin to do a more comprehensive examination and get to the other side of the wreckage that was against the pavement. We also are aware that there are dive teams. The New York Police Department is still diving for components and pieces of the helicopter that we are still looking to recover. Those include the main rotor, the main transmission, the roof structure, and the tail structure, and we appreciate all of their hard work. And then we have a whole team that is collecting the standard information that we normally gather as part of any investigation, which includes pilot qualifications, logbooks, history of the helicopter, maintenance logs, and so forth. We do have the logbooks for the pilot. The pilot held a commercial pilot certificate with rotorcraft and instrument ratings. The pilot reported 450 hours of total flight experience on his most recent medical, which was issued on September 20th, 2024. As of March 29th, 2025, the pilot accumulated about 788 hours of total flight time. We still need to calculate flight time in that Bell helicopter, and I'll have more information on that hopefully tomorrow, because he previously was flying a Robinson 44. Now, what we are hoping is that we are able to get the public to send us any photos or video you may have, or if you want to contact us because you believe that you have information that could be pertinent to our investigation, please reach out to us, provide that information to us. We will get in contact with you at the following email address: witness@ntsb.gov. That's witness@ntsb.gov. Now, I will take some questions. Again, a reminder, I know there will be questions for very detailed investigative information. I am happy to talk about the team, their qualifications, the process. I am not going to speculate on investigative information. We are very factual, and we will provide that in due course. So I will call on you. Please state your name, your affiliation for me.
Sure. It's Matthew Chase of Newsday. To the extent you're able to share this, is there a preliminary cause? I realize we gave that early talking. Is there a cause preliminarily that you can share with us?
The question is there a preliminary cause? We do not have a preliminary cause. That takes time. As I stated, our team focused on helicopter airworthiness and structures and systems is at the facility with the wreckage, doing the wreckage exam. That takes time. Of course, it takes time to also gather information, records that we need to comb through. So we do not have that at this time. And just to mention, as regarding cause, we will not speculate on cause ever, but we will not be determining any sort of preliminary or probable cause at the scene of an accident. We don't do that. What we are doing here is gathering the perishable evidence, the evidence that we need to gather for our investigation. When it comes to maintenance logbooks and other materials, we can look at those materials later on. What we need to do is look at the wreckage now. We need to focus on finding some of the additional components and structures that we're looking for, conduct witness interviews, and gather the records that we need. We can review the records later, so that probable cause will not occur for quite some time. Yes, ma'am, and then we'll go here. So the question was what we were doing with the engine. Nothing that we would not normally do as part of our standard investigation, where we would have wreckage and we'd start separating some of the components that we always look at. That's standard in our investigation. Of course, we'll have a team that always looks at engines or power plants to evaluate them as in standard course of our investigation. So nothing in particular. It was in the wreckage, and so we separated it from the helicopter so we could take a closer look at it in a more upright position. Yes, sir.
Broadly speaking, what do you think the physical evidence will tell you about what caused this crash? And then also, this particular company had a couple of serious incidents in the last several years. Do you think that will be relevant to your investigation?
The question is, what will us looking at as part of this investigation on scene tell us about cause, and what will we be looking at related to the safety history as part for this particular helicopter company? First of all, we always look at safety history. That's a standard part of all of our investigations, so we'll collect that, not just from the Federal Aviation Administration, that is a party to every single one of our investigations, but we'll also ask those questions in interviews and get other information that will help us get a very broad view and detailed information about the safety history of this particular operator and also the owner of the helicopter itself. With respect to what will it tell us on scene about our investigation, the evidence right now, everything is on the table. We don't rule anything out. We take a very detailed and comprehensive view, and it's way too early in the investigation. It will be too early on scene. That's much later in the investigation. Yes, ma'am. The question is, what have we been able to glean from the videos that are already circulating on social media? Those are very helpful for our investigators, certainly, but a lot of those videos are from a very far distance, and so we'll have to look at those a little bit further back at headquarters, but we're hoping to get some additional videos that provide us information. We don't know what people have recorded or taken pictures of that could be helpful in an investigation. We have found in past investigations, and I'm just thinking of one that I went to in Ketchikan, Alaska, mid-air collision, where photos from somebody who was on board one of the airplanes helped us significantly in our investigation. So it can be very key parts of our investigation. So for anyone who didn't hear my previous request, please send us any sort of videos or photos or information you'd like to share with us at witness@ntsb.gov. Yes, ma'am.
I know when you do these investigations, you also come out with recommendations. I mean, knowing the history of these crashes so far, are there any thoughts that you have in terms of regulating this industry even before looking at this particular crash, just based on the amount of crashes that have taken place with these sightseeing helicopters in general? There's a lot of debate on whether they should operate at all.
So the question is, do we have any sort of concerns or have we issued any sort of safety recommendations in the past about these type of air tour operations? We have. Actually, we did. So this particular operator was governed under Part 135 of the Federal Aviation Regulations, but this particular operation was under Part 91. All air tours are. We have issued an entire report on Part 91 operations with respect to revenue passengers. We believe in one level of safety strongly, and that may not look like regulation for a major commercial airline, but we do believe that they should be regulated. We have issued recommendations in the past on recorders, crash-resistant recorders. We've issued numerous recommendations on safety management systems, on particular regulations for Part 91. It's too early to say what we would recommend as part of this investigation. However, this is a concern that we've raised for a number of years. Certainly we raised this after the Fly Nyan crash, And in a specific report that we have online at ntsb.gov focused on Part 91 revenue passenger operations. And so I would direct you actually to that report. It was very comprehensive about our recommendations, specifically about air tour operators. And if you can't find that, our media relations team can help provide that information, because we did issue a set of recommendations to improve safety in this area.
Was this operator following those recommendations?
That will be part of the question is, was this operator complying with those recommendations? Those are recommendations, not regulations, but we would have to look at that, and that will be standard in this investigation. So thank you very much, sir. And then I'm going to go over here. Have we recovered the rotor? We are looking for the main rotor and the tail rotor right now.
The people of uptown Jersey City have been complaining, and myself, about the helicopters flying low between these buildings, up here, these 60, 70-story buildings. And we've asked, what's the FAA up in Connecticut, to get them the heck out of here and let them fly down the Hudson River. I'm telling you right now, if something isn't done, there's going to be a disaster where they're going to crash into one of these buildings or crash into the neighborhoods out there. They're annoying, and they're bothering. People have been asking and asking and asking, and nothing has been done.
Thank you. There was a comment about, thank you, sir. There was a comment about the concern about these helicopter operations, and thank you very, very much for sharing that. Appreciate it. Yes. The question is, what would result? How did this essentially? How did this tragedy happen, where a helicopter would break apart in the air? I understand that is a significant concern and a question on everyone's mind. It is going to take time. We need to do a very thorough examination of the wreckage to determine what occurred first and how that occurred. Once we have that, we'll be able to release that to the public. Yes. Sure. Yeah, great question, because I think sometimes people are reluctant to reach out to us because they may not think something is relevant to our investigation. So the question was on reports of a large flock of birds in the area shortly before the crash. We are aware of those reports. We discussed it this morning. It's something we will be looking into. What I will say to the public, if something struck you as different, or maybe you paused, or it crossed your mind that maybe it's something you would like to share with our investigators, there's no downside, please, in sharing that information with us. You can be very helpful in providing that investigative information to the NTSB. So again, witness at ntsb.gov. Even if you think it's irrelevant, please send it in. Yes, sir.
Hi, Stephen Nesson, WNYC Radio. You said there are 17 people on site here working on the investigation and 10 in D.C. Is that how many people you would typically have for a helicopter crash investigation? Is that the same number, for example, during the Flynon helicopter crash, or have cuts of the federal government reduced your number of investigators?
So the question question is the 17 investigators here and 10 who are supporting back home, but the 17 personnel here, 10 of which are investigators. Is that typical for an investigation like this? How would it compare to Fly Nyan, and would it be less as a result of any sort of cuts to the agency? First of all, let me address the agency. We have not experienced any personnel losses other than typical retirements in our agency. Our agency has been provided with, by the administration, thank you, an exemption from the deferred resignation program. We got a hiring exemption for several investigative positions within each of our transportation modes, so we can bring our numbers up to help us in our investigation, and that is critical. So we have not suffered in any way. With respect to comparison on Fly Nyan, I don't know how many investigators were here on Fly Nyan. Certainly our media team can provide that to you. It really isn't what I will say for our investigations is when an accident occurs, we look at what might be areas we want to look into. How many people can we send based on the rest of our workload? And because we have a pretty heavy workload right now, and that is the decision making that goes into what expertise do we need and who do we want to send. That is what feeds into that. So it might vary depending on the investigation. Okay, that is the end of questions today. What I will ask is that you monitor X, which is NTSB_newsroom, and also NTSB.gov, which is our website, which will have updates on future press conferences. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, guys, thank you all